Tonight on Connecticut's news station, our state has its first human case of West Nile virus this year. What you need to know to protect yourself from mosquito-borne diseases this summer.
Not a weekend washout, but we are timing out some showers. Plus, we're going to talk about how Hurricane Ernesto could make things rough on ocean-facing beaches.
Vice President Kamala Harris talks about her economic plan on the campaign trail. There's an emphasis on getting relief for middle and working class families, but we wanted to know what economists thought about it. We took it to the experts.
Now at 10, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good evening. We are back to normal in the weather department. Thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 10. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. Just 24 hours ago, some parts of the state were dealing with hail. Now we have to think about the weekend and all the late summer events being planned outside.
Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank for a first look at the forecast. Rachel, what kind of a weekend do we have on tap?
I think Saturday is going to be the pick of the weekend. It won't win any beauty contests in the morning with overcast skies, but at least we make it through a lot of the day dry. And then there is a better chance for a few showers Sunday, but it's not a total washout, but still more iffy if you got to get stuff done. Near 70 degrees in Hartford, mid 70s for the New Haven area. Overnight lows stay in the 60s, so it is a warmer night than we've been accustomed to, and it's also turning more humid as well. We're going to start the day off with lots of clouds and areas of patchy fog. There might be some mist. Basically, you're waking up and it's looking pretty gray and dreary. However, I'm cautiously optimistic that midday or afternoon we'll see some brighter spots or maybe even a little bit of sun breaking through the clouds. We're looking at highs around 80 degrees. There's a slight chance for an evening shower, but most of us are going to stay dry. And then heading into Sunday, I think we'll see showers in the morning. There might be a break in the action for a little while during the afternoon. And then heading into later Sunday night and Monday, there is a chance for some heavier rain. We're going to go through all of this in a lot more details so you can plan your weekend out. Full forecast coming up.
Thank you, Rach. New tonight, the Connecticut Department of Health has announced the first human case of West Nile virus of the season.
A woman in New Haven County tested positive for the potentially deadly mosquito-borne virus. Fox 61's Alexa Farrell has more details tonight on how that person's doing. Alexa, what did you learn?
Yeah, this is the first person that we're seeing in the state this year that has been infected with West Nile virus. Now, we do know that the woman that got the disease has recovered and thankfully is doing well. That being said, it is important to protect yourself and your family, especially when spending time outside.
I'm not too surprised. We see West Nile virus in Connecticut every year, and generally it peaks in the summer to fall months.
The Connecticut Department of Public Health says a woman in her 60s, living in New Haven County, got infected with West Nile virus at the beginning of the month. She's now recovered and feeling better.
The classic transmission to humans occurs through mosquito bites who have been infected from other birds.
Dr. Scott Roberts of Yale New Haven Hospital says about 25% of the time people that are infected with West Nile show symptoms.
And most people describe flu-like symptoms such as fevers, fatigue, and muscle aches. And then very rarely, less than 1% of the time, people can come down with what's called West Nile virus neuroinvasive disease.
Dr. Roberts says in those cases, a person might experience confusion or even be diagnosed with meningitis. He says, fortunately for most people who test positive for the virus, the odds are great for recovering fully. But what can you do to protect you and your family?
Avoiding standing water around the households and wearing mosquito spray and spraying lawns to really combat mosquitoes, especially at this time of year.
He also says to avoid dead birds. Either call your local animal control or put on gloves before disposing of them. In addition, DPH suggests people minimize outdoor activities at dusk and dawn. Wear long sleeves and long pants when outdoors. Use CDC-recommended mosquito repellents. And be sure your window and door screens are in good shape. Now, last year, there were 7 human cases of West Nile virus reported in the state. But now is the season where we see the cases the most, so we could see more in the upcoming weeks. In the studio, Alexa Farrell, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Alexa, thank you. Well, new tonight, a multiple vehicle crash on I-91 in Rocky Hill. It happened near exit 24 on the northbound side around 3:45 today. 3 vehicles were involved in the collision and several people were left with non-life-threatening injuries. All northbound lanes were closed but have since reopened. Details of what led up to that crash are still unclear at this time. We'll update you as soon as we learn more.
Happening Monday, a North Branford library assistant will appear before a judge on possession of child pornography charges. Guilford police arrested 45-year-old Lauren Smith. Investigators say they got a call to a tip line late last month, and the police searched her home, where they say they found evidence. Smith was released on a $100,000 bond and is not allowed to return to the library.
We're learning more about a truck versus train collision that stopped rail travel on the shoreline this morning. Amtrak representatives say one of their trains hit a truck at a crossing in Stonington around 8:30 a.m. No injuries were reported, but they put a ground halt on trains between New London and Kingstone, Rhode Island, while crews cleared the tracks. Officials are still investigating. That stretch of track has since reopened.
With energy bills soaring across the state, Connecticut GOP leaders are asking for a sit-down with Governor Lamont. Legislators have sent the governor a letter asking for a special legislative session. They want lawmakers to find ways to bring down the public benefits charge, and that charge is responsible for driving up most of the utility bills. One idea they're proposing is using the $329 million of surplus in the general fund to pay down the $800 million.
If you've shopped at NSA Supermarket in New London recently, you'll want to monitor your bank account. Another card skimmer has been found in Connecticut. New London police say they found this skimmer during a sweep of local businesses. In order to avoid falling victim to a skimmer, use Tap to Pay or insert the chip on your card, or you could use Apple Pay in your mobile wallet. If you suspect a skimming device, report it.
A lawsuit concerning transgender student athletes is back in front of a judge. It's been a years-long fight for a group who says Connecticut policy is unfair.
Fox 61 political reporter Emma Wolforst was at this morning's hearing, nearly 2 years since the lawsuit was originally dismissed.
Today was all about whether these 4 athletes that were deprived of fair competition ought to have their day in court.
4 cisgender female track athletes filed a lawsuit in 2020, arguing they were deprived of wins, titles, and scholarship opportunities in high school by being forced to compete against 2 transgender girls.
I think we want to vindicate just my client's interest here, that these athletes suffered discrimination by being forced to compete at unfair levels.
The 4 runners are represented by the conservative Christian legal organization Alliance Defending Freedom, which is listed as an anti-LGBTQ+ hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. ADF argues Connecticut's policy allowing students to participate in programs consistent with their gender identity violates Title IX.
We're seeking to correct the records, the athletic records, because at this point these athletes have graduated, and so the court is only able to correct the records of the races they ran and what those records would have looked like had they competed fairly.
The 4 women, Selena Soul, Chelsea Mitchell, Alana Smith, and Ashley Nicoletti, were not in court Friday, but spoke about their case during a 2021 hearing.
Throughout my 4 years of high school, I was forced to compete against biological males. Girls across Connecticut and New England all knew the outcome of our races long before the start, and it was extremely demoralizing.
All girls deserve the chance to compete on a level playing field, but cisgender girls should not be sidelined in their own sports.
The lawsuit specifically names 2 transgender athletes, Andrea Yearwood and Terry Miller, who have since graduated high school. Fox 61 spoke with Yearwood's father in 2018.
My daughter is a trans female. That means she needs to compete on girls' teams in order to feel most comfortable. She's running because she wants to be part of a team. My job is to make sure I raise a healthy child, and we all know that being part of groups and being included allows students to develop in a healthier way than when you're excluded.
The ACLU of Connecticut is representing Yearwood and Miller. In a statement, legal director Dan Barrett said transgender students are students and deserve to have the same protections as their peers. Student athletes should be able to participate in athletics, adding there is room for everyone in athletics, and Connecticut schools should be proud they refuse to discriminate. Reporting in Hartford, Emma Wolforst, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.